Hi guys, welcome back to Fully Connected.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Natasha.
And we're so excited to have you here with us. Been going through 10 activities that couples could use to improve their connection with one another. We have gone through 6 so far. So reading the Word, that is the Bible, praying together, reading together, fiction, nonfiction, cooking together,
touch and play.
And in the last video, I was really trying hard. I was like, play. I know there's something there. And I remember what it was. It's if there are activities that maybe neither you or your partner necessarily like, just like we mentioned in cooking and reading together, same thing. Go find those ways of touch, those ways of play that maybe you've never tried before. You might discover you have a new passion that you didn't even realize.
Yes.
Yes.
See, I told you it was going to be brilliant.
If you've watched the last video, you know what she's talking about. But also, thank you. So in this video, we're talking about activities number 7 and 8, which is to create goals
and dream together.
Yes. So creating goals. Well, I feel like this one sounds pretty straightforward, but we all dream about the perfect lives that we want to have, and sometimes we don't necessarily know what that is definitively. And so, creating goals, right? We come up as a couple and we work together to create this idea of things that we want to accomplish.
And I think that's what makes it most powerful as a form of connecting with each other. I can write goals all day long, but when I sit down with Phil and we're like, okay, what are things, now it's a give and take. Now we're connecting. Now we are dialoguing. Now we are thinking together. And I think that's a lot more powerful than doing it on my own, because together we can create something much better than I would have by myself. I think, probably vice versa. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I would definitely say vice versa. She thinks about things in a way that I don't, and I think about things in a way that she doesn't. And it's not necessarily that one is better than the other. It's that they both have their strengths, their pros, their cons.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's so as far as like building connection and building intimacy and building relationship, creating goals together. It's also encouraging. Like you have these steps that we've agreed on together. We both know, we've talked about it, we've discussed it, we've done the give and take, we've compromised, we've maybe even argued slightly, and now we have this plan that we both believe is going to get us to this next step. Yeah,
and we would probably credit Jordan Peterson for the discovery of that idea, the idea of creating shared vision, or shared goals together. If you've never seen it, his 4-part series.
Is it 3? 4? I don't know. There's a few parts.
It's several parts, and it's really good. It's called On Marriage by Jordan Peterson. If you don't like Jordan Peterson because you've heard bad things about him, give this one a chance.
I thought it was really good.
It's on Daily Wire Plus, and it's just a 4-part series, and it's really, really good. And in one of the parts, he goes, You want to have those discussions, about just the way that you see one thing and the way that your partner sees another. You're gonna have to compromise. You're gonna have to come up with these different ideas. You're gonna have to bring them together, and what you build out of that is something that neither of you could have ever imagined, and it's gonna be great. I'm working on my Jordan Peterson. Impression.
Or Jeter impression. But honestly, that's pretty good. Like I feel like, he tends to nail some of his impressions pretty hard. I think that's one of them. So I'm pretty much like him.
I appreciate that.
So I think that this kind of ties in with dreaming together, because when you're dreaming together, which is separate, but once you have found a dream that you both agree on, that you are excited about and passionate about, that's when the goals come in, creating the goals. Also creating goals can be much more functional than that too. It's, you know, how do we get the kids out the door every morning for whatever on time? And now we have a goal, we have a method, and we've worked through this together. But I think also dreaming together, you know, and this, I think taking the time to dream together without the pressure of goals, I want to say this the right way so that I'm not getting misunderstood. But I think just having a chance to just, this is something that I've learned from Phil, and I don't think I've actually discussed this with you before, so now you get to find out in front of everyone else, that Phil will just, we'll be laying in bed together and he will just start talking and he'll just like spit out whatever pops into his head. And not all of them are gold, but it doesn't matter. Like, all the pressure's off. And that's one thing I've appreciated learning from him, is that, you know, I can just start dreaming. I've always had this intense pressure of like, there's just no reason to even think about it if it's not going to be like 100% perfect right off the bat. And Phil doesn't approach it like that. He's just like, I'll just think of whatever until I land on the right thing. And I love that. And so, you know, he'll just start being like, what if we built this game that does blah, blah, blah. And it's, you know, something obscure and random and probably will never happen, but it's just fun. It's fun to talk to each other about it. And it's fun to dream together. And sometimes once I let go of my, it needs to be perfect right off the bat, or else there's no point, because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. Once I let go of that and I just follow him down his dream path, can be fun. We can start talking about all kinds of things and get creative and sometimes silly and hilarious. And then we decide, okay, probably not that one. Moving on to the next thing. And then sometimes we land on the gold mines. And so I feel like there's things that we've come up with together dreaming that we're like, oh, that's a good idea. We're going to work towards that. And then that's when the creating goals comes in. So I've talked a really long time. Do you have anything to say?
I feel like I've been pretty expressive, right, guys? Comment below. So, no, I was just going to say, I was actually going to quote Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's the Jake way.
What's the Jake way?
I don't know, but we have a name. The Jake way.
Yeah, that's Phil's thing. Like, the first thing he does when he's like, oh, we should do this. What will we name it? That's like the number one. As long as it has a name, then we're good.
Branding is a big deal, guys. Branding. But yeah, I would say, just to parse it out a little bit, you know, people like creating goals and dreaming, isn't that kind of the same thing? And I think you've hit the nail on the head. But just in case, you know, it still doesn't quite seem clear to you guys, dreaming is the vision. It's the idea, right? Like, you guys, you have this thought, and I'm not talking about being greedy, right? So for those of you who are believers, sometimes we can have this skewed understanding of that verse that says the love of money leads to all kinds of evils, or is the root of all kinds of evils. Just to be clear, money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. So, yeah, I say that just because I personally have struggled with that one over the course of my lifetime, and I imagine that there are probably some people who might watch this who are strugglers. So, I guess it's my turn to do a lot of talking. But what I would say is, you know, when you think about dreaming, it's not greedy to dream. God dreamed. He spoke and he created that dream. He made it. He put it into existence. And he had a 6-step plan, or a 7-step plan if you count the 7th day when God rested, right? And that was powerful and amazing. And not only did God do that, but he breathed into us and he gave us his voice. You know, obviously we can't just create something out of nothing. He didn't give us that power, but he did give us the tongue, which has life and death in it, the Proverbs say. So I just want to encourage you guys, dreaming is a good thing. It's a very good thing.
Yeah.
Dream. If there's something that you want, you know, and if you're worried about it, go back to step 2. Pray about it with your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah? But dreaming is like this idea. It's like, okay, what if this? And then creating goals, it's the practical. It's, okay, now that we've dreamt, how do we put that into action? Or this is what we want, how do we achieve it, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got the Gestalt brain, and then you've got the analytical brain working together. For those of you who don't know, Gestalt is left brain. It's the idea of creativity and abstract thinking, and then the analytical is the more concrete, and that's the right brain. So she and I definitely balance each other out well in that way. But Yeah, those are the thoughts that I have.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the one thing to just clarify, if you're anything like me, and maybe I already said this well enough that it made sense, and maybe you've already said it well enough that it made sense, but I do still see these as slightly different things because the goals can be tiny, tiny. Like, let's just sit down together and talk about there's this particular issue. How can we make our life easier with this particular problem? And so we create goals and we create plans and we create action steps. And so that can be really big things. Like, we came up with this giant dream for our family, how now we're going to do plans, or it can be just tiny little everyday things. So sit down and talk together. How can we make this more functional and more workable? So that's creating goals. And then on the flip side with dreaming, if you're anything like me, give yourself the freedom to just go for it. Just like go with it, flow with it, whatever comes to mind, and parse it out. And if it's just not a 100% winner, that's okay. But you spend the time learning more about each other, because when you start talking about dreams, like and vision and excitement and passion and the things that excite you, you get to know each other in a different way. So lean into it. Try something a little uncomfortable and just really express, all your different thoughts and ideas, even if they're silly.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so creating goals, I guess a little bit more rational. It could still be big dreams, and then the dreams is just go for it. Just so nobody can come back and have any can't blame us for liability purposes. Don't go investing all of your money into something or whatever just on a whim, just because we mentioned it. Mentioned that you should dream, right?
Don't go out and buy the hot air balloon because you dreamt it up one night.
Yeah, that might be one of the more create goals type of moments. Anyways, we're really enjoying this, guys. We may not necessarily know you, but we just want to say we love you, and Jesus loves you too. So